Welcome to Woodshop 101. This is episode 144 for December 11th, 2018. On today's show, Drew is going to talk about shop tours, invoicing, and how to find clients. I'm Jeremy Crawford of the Countryside Workshop, and I am joined today by my co-hosts Drew Short of Rockin' H Woodshop and Sam Wooddell of SamRyan Designs. We'd also like to thank our patrons, John Ramminger, Sean McHenry, Carl Mose, Neil Sims, Eric Rhoten, and Jeb Braswell. If you would like to support the show, you can head over to www.woodshop101podcast.com/support, where there will be links for small one-time donations and recurring donations. If you want to become a patron of our Patreon campaign, then head over to www.patreon.com/woodshop101. All our patrons receive an after show twice a month as a benefit. You can also support the show by buying a Woodshop 101 podcast t-shirt, hoodie, or Rev marker pack. Head to countrysideworkshop.com/shop for the link. And so you're going to hear, this is going to be our holiday episodes over the course of December. So we're pre-recording these so you can kind of listen to some questions and answers that each of us are asked, and we kind of dive a little bit into it. We hope you get some benefit out of this. Please leave some feedback. I appreciate it. So here's Drew with his episode.
All right, like Jeremy said, this is our fast and loose episode. We're just going to get right down into it. I'm going to give you guys a quick shop tour, kind of discuss the tools that I have. And then I've got about 3 or 4 questions that I'll go over that were received on Jeremy and Sam's post that they made on Instagram. And then after it's all over, Sam will close it out, and then I'll give the contact information, and we'll be done. So let's get started. I am in a 2-car garage. It's a little bit oversized. It's about 450 square feet, give or take. I have some big tools in here. It kind of takes up a lot of room. So this shop is primarily mine. It's not a place where vehicles are going to be parked. Now I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance because you guys caught me in the middle of several builds, and in a 2-car garage I'm very limited on my space. So there is going to be a lot of clutter that you're going to see because the projects are in progress. So let me kind of run over the tools that I have with you from what I use the most to what I use the least. So this unit here is my table saw. It is the center of the shop, and it is my workhorse for just about everything that I do in this shop. Now, it isn't a cabinet saw. I've actually turned it into one. It is a contractor saw made by Delta, and I believe it's the 35-555, something like that. It's kind of, maybe it's a 355-55, something like that. Anyway, I got it from my wife's grandfather who passed away a while back, and he handed down some tools to me. This table saw was probably the biggest hand down that I got, and it was in great working order, just needed a little TLC on the top. And I've always had a desire to have a lot of work surface right and left of the blade, so I decided to make this cabinet for it with over 17 drawers of storage, saw blade storage, and a 52-inch gliding T-fence that makes this thing the best tool in my shop. Now, just off the end of the table saw to the right, where the 52-inch fence ends, is my sliding compound miter saw. Now, this location that it's in, I moved not too long ago from the other side of the shop, and I'm really not too happy with it, mainly because of the restrictions that I get from the wall that's right over here by the garage door. So I'm not allowed a very long piece of stock on this side of the blade, but I have, tons on this side because it can go to the end of the garage. But what I had in mind on the other side was the stock could go outside the garage door, because that's what this is right here. And I would have the length of the garage this way. So I think I may move it back and make a cabinet, but I'll go over that later. But this is a battery-operated 36-volt saw from Ryobi. This is actually a new one because I experienced a little bit of kickback on my old one, and the handle snapped. And Ryobi said that no problem, we'll replace it. So they sent me a brand new one, and I've got the old one sitting in a box right there that I've got to send back, and this is the new one in place. And I got it all dialed in just like before, and it works great. Now, on the end of my table saw where the 52-inch fence ends is my router. I have it mounted in a Jessam router lift with a 3 1/4 horse Porter cable router inside the table. And then I have a nice track system here for really accurate cope and stick cuts, door panels, what have you. It's a really great router and table setup, and then I have it hooked up to dust collection inside the table, but I don't have a good router fence for it yet. I've got to make that. But this is a great part of the table saw cabinet. Now, over here, again, is a storage solution problem. So I've got some metalworking stuff. I've got a MIG welder here. Some of my big tools in their cases. I've got another belt sander here. This is actually going to go to my brother. I've got a Ryobi benchtop drill press there. Another oscillating spindle sander that will go to my brother. And then I got my scroll saw over here. All of this stuff does not have a place to be stored. And it's a real problem when it comes to cleaning this shop up after dust gets all over everything. So this is something I hope to take care of. Right behind me over here on my left actually is my dust collection system. It's a Harbor Freight unit that I acquired from a friend of mine, and it's got a Thine 2-stage dust collection system on it, Thine baffle, and it works really good for my table saw. That is what it is designated for. Nothing else is hooked up to it, and I usually fill it up about once a week, so I have to empty it pretty often. So as you guys can tell, the tool that I use the least is my lathe. Right now, I haven't used it at all. I acquired it, haven't used it. I really would like to use it. I'd really like to learn how to turn some things, but I haven't yet. Right now it's a dust collector. If anybody needs a good dust collector, get you a lathe. Speaking of which, right here I have a Delta, and I believe it's a 3/4 horse or a 1/2 horse. It's a 1 horse. Sorry. 1 horse dust collector sitting here. I use it for a lot of my mobile tools, so I can roll it around from place to place, and it does a great job of collecting dust. So this is one of my first big dust collectors that my wife got me for Christmas, so I've hung on to it for a good reason. And just off the dust collector is my metal storage cabinet that I usually keep all of my finish stuff, glue, spray paints, things like that. Anything that's combustible, I want to keep inside this metal cabinet just to kind of stay OSHA compliant. Even though I really haven't run into that problem. Metal cabinet is always good for your combustible items, such as your finish. Right off to the side here is my Grizzly 17-inch bandsaw. And it's a hoss. Let me tell you, getting it in here was a chore. But this is something else I haven't got to use, mainly because I'm lazy, procrastinate, whatever you want to call it. I'm lazy. I really want to figure this thing out and get it used. I've got to make a mobile base for it, which is one reason why I haven't used it. The only 220 plug that I have is right behind this dust collector, and the problems with doing the work on this is that it's got to be mobile to go over to that plug so I can use it and then put it back when I'm done. So that is problematic. Just off to the side of the bandsaw is my Delta 18 by 36 open-ended drum sander. And it's a single drum, works really good. I just got it dialed in a couple of weeks ago because I had a table tilt problem that was causing some issues with it taking too much on one side versus the other. So it's got a great dust collection system on it as well. I can use it in the shop with no problems, and I really like using it on my cutting boards. Right here is my Cnc Piranha that I got from Next Wave Automation. It's a little benchtop unit. It has a 12 by 12 cutting area on it. It's very nice for a shop this size. I do need to make some kind of a cabinet for it that can roll around and have dust collection, because this thing gets messy if I'm using it in here. Not to mention the fine dust it creates is going to be a problem for my mini split in the future. So I need to rig up something that can contain the dust in this. But this is an awesome unit, and it uses vector software to be able to create all of your things, and I use the laptop to control it whenever I'm ready to cut. Alongside the heart of the wood shop is my outfeed and assembly table. This thing has tons of drawer space in it. I think the drawers are 22 or 24 inches deep, and they're about 40 inches wide. There's also air compression as well as dust collection in the cabinet beside. And then on the side over there is where I keep my dovetail jig and my Craig jig cabinet. Everything can come out right here on top. I can clamp it down with the T-track system that's on top, and it works very, very well. One downside is, because I'm in a garage shop, I need an assembly table, but I also need an outfeed table. If you have the space, I wouldn't recommend an outfeed table and an assembly table combo. Mainly because if you're doing assemblies on here and you need to use the table saw, you've got to move things out of the way to accommodate the outfeed. But I don't have a choice in a shop this size, so I have to think of methods that can give me efficiency as much as possible. I know that some of you may think that the way I've got this place laid out isn't very efficient, but for the way I work, it works really, really well. So that's the thing about it is that everybody works different. So efficiency is a subjective term to me. Okay, this is my clamp cabinet. It holds a crap ton of clamps. I don't even think I've added up how many it can hold, because it's got multiple possibilities of how you can lay them out inside the cabinet. Then I've got a mud locker system just to the left of it. You can't really see it too well, but it's not really a functional part of the shop. It's mainly just for storage of shoes and things like that. Down here is my lumber rack, and it goes from here all the way down to the garage door. And it's got slabs and scraps and all kinds of stuff. Pallet wood that I'm going to use, but it is a very, very sturdy system. If you guys want to build something like this, I did a video on this, but this is Mark Spagnolo's design. So all the credit goes to him on that. But I also keep a Rubbermaid tub down here for my oils, the mineral oil that I dip all of my cutting boards in. That's what that is. Last thing here is the lumber cart. This thing is a bit oversized. I will probably downgrade this thing to a smaller size later, but this is where the miter saw station is going to go back in place. I've got to build a cabinet here. I'll probably build a cabinet where the miter saw station is at as well, and then I may put a narrow space about yay big for sheet goods to go behind the miter saw station, and scrap storage may go up underneath. I'm still working on that, don't know, but that about wraps up the whole shop tour. So let me get to some questions real quick. So here's some questions that I got. Now that you're full-time, can you talk about your process from doing custom invoices? Do you use a special software like FreshBooks? I don't know if that's QuickBooks or FreshBooks or something similar. Do you have a contract? If so, is it paper copy or digital? As far as the custom invoices, I actually made an invoice on Pages because I use a Mac, and I save that in a particular folder. I duplicate it every time I need to make an invoice for somebody, so that way the template is always there. Duplicating it, I'm able to make all the changes that I need. I even put a picture of the project that the client, I was going to say patient, I've been in medical for a long time, that the client wants, and they sign it off. They also sign a disclaimer, then they also sign the amount for the project itself. I do use QuickBooks self-employed to keep track of all of my expenses, but I don't use it for the invoices. I find it a little difficult to make them a little more personable. Putting in my logo, for instance, is something that's very difficult to do on QuickBooks for your invoices. Paper copy or digital? Both. I make a digital copy, and then I send them the invoice through PayPal so they can pay it electronically. Easy to sign off on that way. Or if they don't have access to computer or email or whatever, then I can mail it to them and they mail it back with their deposit. So once I have that, I can scan it in or take a picture of it and scan it in, whatever. So I can do both. It all depends on the client. When you decided to go full-time, how did you find your initial set of clients? A lot of it was through my workplace, and then once I did something for them, I posted it on the marketplace, and then orders just started coming in for that. And as you can guess, it was barn doors. Those things are super popular right now. So I had tons of barn door orders, and the marketplace is really where that came from. And then once I made all those projects, I started getting word of mouth as well as repeat business from those clients that I made those projects for. You can also do things like Instagram and Facebook, not the marketplace, but just Facebook in general. Set up a page, also do a website. Craft shows, that's another place you can get leads from. There's a multitude of ways that you can do it, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to do it. But 95% of my stuff is word of mouth. So the objective whenever you do a project for somebody is always make a good first impression and a lasting impression with your project when you're done, because they're going to refer you to other people and they may want you back for repeat business. So impressions are everything when it comes to this line of work. What's my least favorite project, and can we get a shop tour? Well, you got the shop tour. My least favorite project. The thing about it is that I don't have one that I just dread unless it's maybe these tornado birdhouses. These things take a long, long time to make, and I don't make very much money off of them. So that's probably, I would have to say that's probably my least favorite. But I always push myself outside the box to think of things that people don't normally do. I may take something normal and put a twist on it, or I may think of something completely brand new that nobody's ever seen, such as a tornado birdhouse or a dovetail end grain cutting board. So I don't know, when you push your limits or your knowledge base, it makes that project difficult, but it also gains you experience that you'll be able to apply to future projects, if not the same kind of future projects. So don't think of projects as your favorites. Think of them as learning experiences. What made Drew pursue woodworking versus being an x-ray tech? I've been doing woodworking for well over 15 years, and I've been pushing this business since 2006. So that's been 12 years. But I did the x-ray stuff out of necessity. I didn't do it because I loved it. I did find art form with x-ray because I really like art. I really like challenges, and that presented me with both, especially working in orthopedics. Doctors in orthopedics like their x-rays perfect, and that's where I found really good challenges. And to get that perfect x-ray that most people can't get was rather fun and satisfying at the same time. However, like I said, it was out of necessity. Not to mention the stress from being a supervisor and a director at two different places, that really wore me out. And I was even looking through some old text messages and found some call-ins and things like that. And it just brought me back. It was almost like PTSD. And I got a headache and I got stressed. And I was like, what am I reading this for? So I stopped reading it and just remembered, I'm not doing it now. So this is what I'm doing. The only stress I have to worry about is making a really quick deadline or making sure that I have enough money in the bank to cover my health insurance and liability insurance and business insurance, stuff like that. If I can cover that, then the stress goes way down. And I love meeting new people, which is another reason I like the medical field, was I got to meet new people all the time. However, those people always had something wrong with them, so they always had a complaint. Clients now, they have something they need that I can provide, which I really enjoy. So meeting new people like that is a lot better and a lot different than the medical field. So this kind of work and running my own business is something I've always dreamed of doing. I didn't know it was going to be woodworking because I've tried many different things. But you know, this is a niche that I have fallen into several times over. I just didn't know it was going to be a full-time gig until now. And February of this year is when I quit. and I had enough clientele built up, enough jobs built up that I knew I could sustain an income and pay for bills to get this business off the ground. And because I was already in my shop and it was established, I didn't have a lot of overhead. So I was able to pay my truck off, buy a mini split. I'm probably going to pay it off in about 6 months, even though I've got it financed for 24 months. There's just a lot of things that's been beneficial, and I've been really, really blessed and humbled at the same time by doing this business. So that about wraps up that. I don't have any more questions. I hope you guys got some information. I hope you liked the shop tour, and just thank you guys for coming very much. Remember, guys, if you want to get in contact with us, you can always do it through our respected websites for individual contact. We each have a website, which is countrysideworkshop.com for Jeremy, rhwoodshop.com for myself, and SamRyanDesigns.com for Sam. And if you want to get in contact with the podcast itself, just send us an email, kickback@woodshop101podcast.com. We also have a voicemail that you can call, which is 409-234-3959. If you want to leave us a voicemail, we can play it on air, answer any questions or feedback that you might have. And if you have the voice memo app on your phone, don't forget that has the best audio quality, and you can send it to the email that I just mentioned. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in to these special episodes, and we hope to see you guys in the new year with brand new material, and hopefully we can get our schedules nailed down to where we don't have to miss and do these kind of special episodes like this. So thanks a lot, guys. We hope you take care. Please be safe in your shops, and we'll talk to you on the next podcast episode. 1, 2, 3, boom!